Alright, today I wanted to talk to you guys about an upcoming game. This is called Micro Wars, and it is made by IuseGoto, who has generously agreed to give me a key to let me test it out here today. This game is, you can tell when you see it, Goto is an ex-Rivals player, so it is heavily inspired by Rivals. This game is going to be on PC, Android, and iOS, so you are going to be able to play it in mobile. And I'm going to be playing a 1v1 against Goto here to try and showcase the game a little. Well, I haven't clicked ready yet, that might be the problem. So it has deck building just like Rivals. This is my, what have we got here? 6, 7, 8, 9 card deck. I actually think one of the biggest things in Rivals that was a problem was the small deck size. Like, you didn't have enough room to get things into your deck. So my take on this game so far is this looks like a game that a Command & Conquer lover played Rivals and went, this game should be more like Command & Conquer, and therefore made this. Because this is a lot more like traditional Command & Conquer. You have like, it has the hexes like Rivals, but it is Annihilation, where you're destroying your opponent's HQ like traditional Command & Conquer. And it has base building like traditional Command & Conquer. So as you can see here, I've got my refinery up. This is going to go and harvest the crystals, air quotes, which is blue Tiberium. So in this game, you have, what is this, 5 buildings? You've got barracks, refinery, factory, airport, and tech lab. And you have base building, as you can see. Sorry, I'm just trying to build the buildings. It also has these neutral buildings around the map. These are things you can capture to gain bonuses. This gives the game a little bit of the Rivals feel of map control really matters. But the core gameplay is still going to be just like Rivals. You've got hexes. Units are going to traverse hexes to fight each other. And you're going to win the game by destroying your opponent's base. Excuse me. Which is the slight thing that is a little different from Rivals. So you're going to see some units here that are pretty Rivals reminiscent as well. This here is the Rocket Cycle, which is very clearly the attack bikes. This here is a Rifle Trooper, which is literally Rifleman, very similar to Rifleman from Rivals. Another thing this game has that's pretty cool that Rivals doesn't have is you have different terrain. So here is a road, here is a forest. Terrain does actually matter. If you're inside certain terrains, you will get defensive bonuses. These little stars here are how many defensive bonuses you have.
Maybe you should read the manual. Okay.
So where you stand does matter a lot. It's not just defender's advantage like in Rivals. There is also significant advantage to positioning your units correctly. This over here that Goto's capturing is a bank. This is going to give money. The thing I just captured is a communications tower, which I cannot remember what it does. Someone help me out here?
Attack damage.
Attack damage. So every time you get a communications tower, you're going to get attack damage across the board. So Goto obviously captured that bank because he wants money, so that was wise of him. I'm going to try and take it back from him. Goto also has this bank down here, so he's pretty far ahead of me on resources at the moment. You get, what's it like? You can get 2 refineries per TIB patch. With 2 harvesters per refinery, so you can get a lot of money in this game, like a lot more than in Rivals. The game does have pop cap like Rivals, however it is much better done than in Rivals, like dramatically better done. You'll see pop cap up here in the top right. This is how many units you can have before production slows down dramatically. However, unlike in Rivals, you can invest additional resources in more buildings. So each time you build a production building, that's going to increase your speed of production from that type of building, but also the number of units you can have on the field without incurring that penalty. Which means if you have an economic advantage, you can actually really convert it into a battlefield advantage, which is something that, if you guys have watched my Rivals videos a lot, you'll know it really annoys me that you can be miles ahead on economy and still just lose to someone spamming something like Banshee. There's nothing you can do to really stop that. As you can see, Goto's getting a second barracks here actually. So Goto's trying to up that resource count. He did manage to take out one of my harvesters here, which is unfortunate, but we can just rebuild it from our factory. This here is a trike. This is basically buggy, although it is called trike. And I have light tank fighting it at the moment. He also has light tanks, so we're gonna have a little light tank mirror. He has the defender's advantage because he has this forest, so I don't want to really fight in that forest. But light tank is basically very similar to Scorpion / Predator. Except there's 2 of them, so it's a squad unit. I'm actually getting pretty wrecked here. I think Goto's power is... I believe his commander power is making a unit invulnerable. That's why we see those shields over the units. So trying to fight a tank mirror where your opponent's tank becomes indestructible is a little tricky. I'm also just falling behind on the harvester count here. So I'm trying to keep those going. Raider is still just as good as it was in Rivals. Like, these light tanks have Raider and they are an absolute menace. I'm going to try and block him in here to clear them out. And also spamming bikes is almost as good as it was in Rivals. Spamming bikes is still great. Alright, so I'm going to try and focus a little bit on the game here and talk a little bit less. Because I am struggling. See, we need to get some rifles. Another light tank has some rocket troops. So I'm going to research Flame Tank here because Goto's been making a lot of infantry. Flame Tank is not as good as it is in Rivals, but it is cheaper. Flame Tank is basically Chemical Buggy in Rivals. It has Raider and it has high damage, but it's not like Rivals Flame Tank.
Don't you think that
yeah, I'm pretty far behind at the moment.
Sir? What can I do for you? Sure thing. Reporting.
Basically, I've just been getting out economied quite hard in this game. I really need to get my economy back online. I haven't seen Goto's second refinery yet, though. But he must have one, because there's no way that he's as far ahead in economy on 1/2 or 1 refinery. I suppose it's possible if he had both the banks, that maybe he's at least that far ahead because of the banks. I really need an anti-vehicle unit here. I think I've just lost too many harvesters. It's looking pretty rough.
Your service.
Getting run over by these trikes. Yeah, this extra, we're losing another harvester here. I think we're probably dead. This is a tech unit. That is a bomber drone. I believe that is a basilisk. So we're pretty dead now. Although we do have this cruise missile we can build. Oh no, it's an Inferno. This is basically Inferno. Very good against harvesters because obviously they're stationary. So we're going to build cruise missile, which is basically air scarab. However, as you can see, we're down to 1 harvester. We're really far behind. I think I'm probably going to call it here and say GG to Goto, because I'm not coming back from this one when he's got tech units out as well. So we'll call GG and surrender the game. Good game, Goto.
Good game.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the game for the YouTube video?
Sure. So Micro Wars, we're about a year and a half into development, looking to release this fall to early access for Steam. So there's 13 commanders in the game, 30 units right now, of which you get to bring 9 to any particular battle. There's all sorts of units from a number of different games with influences. You heard Blade talking about all of the units that have some roots in Command & Conquer Rivals. There's some units that have roots from other OTSs as well, and some very unique units too. We have a full campaign currently with 7 missions, so the first chapter is done. We'll be ready for early access, with more missions expected to come for the final release. And there's full replay system, full matchmaking system, full custom game system, and a full map editor in the game. So all these maps that you're seeing, all the campaign maps, have all been done inside the custom map editor. If you hit the new map there, you can see a little bit more of that. And yeah, you can go back, watch the replays, see what your enemy did, and then go compete on matchmaking and find the best army. So thank you very much.
Alright, thank you for that, Goto. So yeah, as you can see, I'm going to just take a look at the units here. As you can see, there are a lot of units in the game already. Are there any plans? I assume you're going to add more units as we go on.
Yeah, so for early access, this is the set of units that we're looking at going into and adding more as time permits and as assets come to it, as the assets get ready. So
yeah,
we've got a good base here.
Sorry. As you can see, there's going to be a lot of units that are going to be familiar to you as a Rivals player. You've got rifles, rockets, these are just missiles and rifles. Heavy trooper is basically a zone trooper, sort of. It's like a little bit cheaper. You've got flame troopers. There's a lot of units, snipers, a lot of units you're going to recognize. Another cool mechanic the game has that is not in Rivals. Instead of it being like Rivals where you build your tech lab and you can get tech lab units, there are also a bunch of units that have research required. So for example, flame troopers come from the barracks but require research. This means you have to pay to unlock the unit, so it's like an additional cost to make the unit for the first time, which I think is pretty cool because it means you can have 2 units in the barracks or 2 units in the war factory with a relatively different power level, and it's not just super busted because one of them is locked behind a cost. So like the flame tank, which is basically chemical buggy, has a research requirement. So before you can make flame tank, you have to pay to research it. So that unit specifically is going to cost you a little bit more and therefore cannot be built in the early game. So this gives it a sort of a mid-game feel. You have like early game units that you can build straight from your buildings, and then research for mid-game units, and then late game units you have the tech lab units, which again they come from the buildings that they would make sense for coming from, like the factory or the air tower, but you need a tech lab to build them, which actually is a thing that we talked about doing in Rivals when Nivmet was still around, was having the tech lab be like a research structure. And then you also have tech lab units that require research. So like the artillery is like ultra late game because you need a tech lab and you need to pay to research the artillery. And then the most exciting thing that we haven't actually mentioned yet, this game is going to have, at least most exciting in my opinion, is this game is going to have up to 4v4, is it?
Yes, up to 8 players in a match.
So we're looking at Rivals with team games. I mean, because obviously you've seen it, it's not quite Rivals, it is quite a bit different. I've played this game quite a bit tonight with these guys. I think it's great. Like, I'm really enjoying it. This is basically, I would say, like the natural evolution of Rivals. Like, you take Rivals and you make it a little bit better, and then this is what you get. Like, this is like Rivals Plus. So if people want Rivals 2, I kind of think this is Rivals 2. Like, this is where Rivals should have gone if it still had support. So I'm really excited for this game. It's supposed to be coming out this fall, you say? So August-ish, around then, for early access?
Yes, and I should mention we're in the middle of doing some UI refresh things, so everything you're seeing here is very much a work in progress, and we're modernizing some of this UI to make it look and be much more usable and just look nice.
Yeah, of course, this is very much a beta, but I have to say the game runs like perfectly. I haven't run into any issues yet on this beta. Like, there's been no crashes, no bugs or any kind. We've got a ton of units, a ton of commanders ready to go. We've got team play. It has matchmaking. Have you tested the matchmaking? Does the matchmaking work?
Yeah, we can.
All right, amazing. There you go. So we like ranked matchmaking is basically ready to go. You can see here there's a leaderboard. Goto is rank 1, which I assume he just cheated to get rank 1. So he's the dev, so he just put it in there, obviously.
Well, when developing, I was playing against my temporary accounts and made sure my main account always won.
There you go then. So yeah, very exciting. I do have a quick question about the map editor. If you make, I assume you make a new map on map editor, then you can then take it into custom games and play it?
Yes. So why don't you go into the map editor and start a new map? And it's a paint-like environment. So you get your hexes, and you can, if you scroll down on the main window.
Yeah. Here we go. So I can. It's very, very easy to make a map.
Yes, and you can go in and you can put things down, and you can change the size, choose your tile sets. There's a full trigger engine for the map editor, so every campaign mission is been done completely in this editor. So you can do all sorts of things, change the genre entirely. Oh
wow, I just saw there's a button upload map to Steam Workshop, so you even have that ready to go.
Yes, we got the Steam Workshop. There is currently a couple of maps on it that have handicaps for people. And a challenge map that requires 3 players co-op against the AI. Kind of a campaign mission that's co-op. Emulating the Advance Wars final battle. So if you go...
have a lot of maps already. Like, if you look here, scrolling through the maps, there's already a ton of maps available. Maps also feel like they're going to be... the maps are going to be more impactful in a game like Rivals, where a lot of the maps play out fairly similarly. These maps have a lot of difference because of the terrain and the buildings and so on. But here it is, Blade's terrible map. And I believe I am now hosting a game on Blade's terrible map. Can anyone just join this, or do you have to download the map somewhere?
Yep. No, it'll transfer it to us automatically. So I'm
amazing.
I'm going to pull in our beta testers and myself
there
here.
It is. Everyone's in Blade's terrible map. we're not actually going to play on Blade's terrible map because I did randomly just click some things. It's clearly going to be awful. But yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. I mean, I'm really excited for this. I think this looks great. So thank you so much for showing us this. And yeah, check it out. August, early access Steam, hopefully. And then when are you thinking for full release, Goto?
We're gonna see how the early access goes, and we're looking kind of for spring next year, but that's a very tentative date, and we'll see especially how this early access release goes and how many bugs you all find.
All right, fantastic. Okay, well, thank you for that, and yeah, guys, check this game out. I think honestly, if you like Rivals, it's gonna be on mobile as well. So if you like Rivals, I think you should definitely check this out.